DC Cab. The odds were against them.
Lock it.
And the crooked commissioner was against them. But Albert Hockenberry had a dream.
We just might make something of ourselves.
Of taking DC Cab to the top. And nothing could stop him. Not even his future mother-in-law.
Have her home by 10:30.
DC Cab, rated R. Starts Friday at theaters everywhere.
You blow it! You blow it! You blow it! You blow it!
Welcome to You Blew It. This is the show where we watch turd sandwiches in HD, reliving our childhoods one Blu-ray disc at a time. I am Camaro Kev, a.k.a. Thunder. Joining me as always is one Roden. We are in the Roden Family Fun Center once again for a spectacular, wonderful film.
Really?
No, not really.
The year is 1983.
The year is 1983. And I'm
a young Joel Schumacher is tasked with writing and directing.
Yeah.
Right? Didn't he write this too?
That's what it says.
Written and directed.
Yeah, by Joel Schumacher. DC Cab.
Fuck,
dude,
me.
my voice is gonna be blown out, dude. I'm thirsty. I didn't go in to get any more water, so by the end of this, I'm just gonna be like gravel. But okay, this movie.
Wow.
This is another example of having an older sibling.
Yeah.
And it came out in 1983. I remember my older brother renting it on VHS, and the cover alone. I mean, come on.
Never seen it. Never seen it in my life.
You never saw this cover before?
Nope. I don't believe so.
You can imagine if you're a kid and it's Mr. T pointing at the camera holding a door of a yellow cab that says DC Cab on it.
Right.
I thought it was the coolest goddamn thing when I was a kid. First of all, like Mr. T was so fucking cool.
Mr. T at this time was way cool. Is this A-Team was going in 1983?
I would think so. At the very least, probably he was Clubber Lang in Rocky 3.
Oh, that's right. He was in the Rocky movies.
One of them.
I was, yeah.
So it was right when he was in WrestleMania at that point. So I don't know if the A-Team was happening at that time, but
yeah.
But everybody had Mr. T fever back then. And so when I wanted to watch this so badly.
First episode date of the A-Team, January 23rd, 1983.
There you go. So he was like firing on all cylinders when this thing came out.
Pretty much.
Let's go down the list of celebrities in this goddamn
holy shit.
Fucking. So this is kind of one of your classic 80s comedy, wacky, zany, out there
big
ensemble cast movies, right?
Right.
Like Cannonball Run would be one that I would consider somewhere similar to this, and that's probably why movies like this were being made, was because of the success of the Cannonball Run movies.
Was that around was that same era?
I would think so. I mean, you can look it up.
So DC Cab actually came out before
Cannonball Run?
A-Team.
Oh, okay.
December 16th, 1983. Oh, wait, no. That would make that... No, because A-Team aired in January of 1983. That would make... yeah. So
yeah,
A-Team,
sure.
A-Team came out first. Anyway, the cast, including Mr. T, who we've talked about, Gary Busey.
Yeah.
Adam Baldwin is the main character. If you don't know who Adam Baldwin is, just look up a screenshot of him.
And you're like, oh yeah, that guy. And he was in, what'd you say he was in?
He was in Predator 2. I mean, he was in Full Metal Jacket.
Full Metal Jacket is where I know him from.
Yeah. Charlie Barnett.
Cannonball Run was 1981. So this most definitely would be like, hey, let's do that. Let's get this cast of wacky characters together.
Sure. Paul Rodriguez.
Bill Maher. The Barbarian Brothers.
Which were famous for being weightlifters.
They were twins that were bodybuilders.
Good Lord.
I'm gonna throw this one out there for you. They also have a movie that Kino Lorber is releasing. Guess what the title of that movie is, starring the Barbarian Brothers?
The Barbarians.
Yeah, you got it. Oh, you got it. How'd you know? And
that one looks like it's probably even worse than this one.
Well, and that one's
with like the racist jokes and shit.
Well,
because aren't they like actual barbarians?
Yeah, it's an answer to Conan the Barbarian. So
right,
it's like
right.
So
but what I meant to say is it takes place in like ancient times or something
correct,
like
yeah.
that, right?
Yeah, it's the success of Arnold as a bodybuilder doing like Conan the Barbarian,
right?
And then they're like, oh, what better than having twins who are bodybuilders? And so I've never seen it. There's a couple of weird Barbarian Brother movies. I've never seen any of them other than... And the other thing is, I don't think I ever have sat through DC Cab all the way. I remember seeing bits and pieces of it.
Well, it's probably a good thing you didn't
Oh my
because,
God.
Jesus Christ, dude, this movie is filled... The first half of it is filled with really racist jokes.
Oh, yeah. N-word being thrown around.
Yeah.
An accident happens at a Chinese food restaurant.
A ton of nudity, like in the first 15 minutes or so.
Boobs, and more boobs.
Boobs, and more boobs. In
the words of Jay Buhner, boobs, and more boobs.
And this movie was written, directed, and acted by cocaine.
Oh, absolutely.
Cocaine was the main character of this movie.
Absolutely. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind. You said this movie is just fueled on cocaine.
It is absolutely incredible. I mean, most of the dialogue in the whole movie is just yelling.
Yes, tons
people
of yelling,
just fighting and yelling at each other,
like large groups of people running around yelling the entire time.
Yeah, and fighting with each other.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
The plot of the movie is that this kid, Alan Baldwin or whatever the fuck his name is,
Adam
Baldwin, the character, or I mean the actor.
Yeah.
He moves up to he hitchhikes up to visit his uncle.
His dad dies.
His dad dies.
It's not his uncle, it's his dad's best friend or something like that. They're like Vietnam War buddies.
So he thumbs his way up there. He's like a young man. He's obviously looking to, start a career, and he wants to become a cab driver.
He wants to become a cabbie.
And his dad's buddy owns DC Cab. And it's a really rundown cab company with a bunch of zany characters driving
cartoonishly,
the cars.
cartoonishly run down.
You would not get in one of these taxis. They're so...
It's amazing to me throughout this movie how like actual rich people are getting into these cars.
Yeah, they have no second thoughts. These things pull up. They're rusted out. I mean,
yeah.
They look ridiculous. They look like something off of a prop of a movie, which they are.
Yeah.
And they look every bit that. And so there's another cab company in town called, what was it, like
Emerald.
Emerald
Yeah.
City Cab or Emerald Cab, or I don't know what the fuck.
I think it was just Emerald Cab.
And their cars are brand new and green, and they got green satin jackets, and so the whole movie is like they're talking about like how they want to become a more structured cab company like Emerald.
They don't talk about that until fucking
wait.
3/4 the way through the movie, Kevin.
Okay, so let's.
You don't need to go into that.
No,
just the whole premise of the movie is this kid, this like Southern kid coming up to DC,
the big city,
and like wanting to like make a career as a cabbie, and kind of turns around this cab company, and like it's. First of all, the whole premise is flawed because I don't think you get rich being a cabbie.
No, and this kid, it's just an excuse for you to get introduced to these wacky characters. So he's trying to learn to be a cabbie. So he's
riding along.
He's riding along
with one of these dudes.
Each one of these dudes.
Yeah,
and
a couple females too.
And a couple of females,
ladies.
and. There's like an ongoing. There's one of the female cab drivers keeps getting robbed by gunpoint, and she's threatening to quit.
She's the only good part of this movie.
She really
actually,
is, yeah.
Like it was a very grounded character.
Yes,
that keeps on like trying to leave the company and just being like
very
talked
uncomfortable
back into...
dialogue scene between the owner of the company and her, where she's trying to leave and he keeps grabbing her by the shoulders
and like, pushing her up against the locker.
And she's not getting pissed about it. She's just basically going like, I really want to leave. And he's like, let's go get a beer. And she's like, I don't want to get a beer because you're going to talk me into staying. And he keeps like grabbing her. Like it's it's a
But
very uncomfortable,
he's very handsy.
Weird, very handsy
with it.
Yeah.
Even though like the way he's doing it, it seems sincere.
Yeah,
but
it's not
just, like,
aggressive.
it's not super aggressive. It's just like, dude, you're touching her a little too much.
Yeah, and I think it's just bad acting. He didn't know what to do necessarily,
Sure.
and so
Yeah. Well, we've established this. He was very high on cocaine while filming it.
he does.
Oh my god, this movie! It's like it seems like when you think back on movies like I always go back to like Teen Wolf 2, right?
Yeah.
Where the whole movie is montage. It's a series of montages,
and it's also just Teen Wolf 1 redone.
Well, yeah,
like
but
scene by scene. It's
my point is that it's a series of montages. There's other movies that we've watched that are just like that too.
Yeah,
like where more than half of the movie
Movies
is
yeah.
a series of montages.
Rocky 4, I think, kind of almost introduced.
Yeah, and
that.
they just kind of spin off into each other, another montage into another montage with an interstitial of like an actual dialogue scene.
Yeah,
this movie is basically that, but they've just got a bunch of scenes that don't really work together that are then just stitched together. Yeah. And it's incredibly terrible.
It's boring, like you said. It's like
really boring.
And the humor is not funny at all.
No.
They'll do these jokes. Like what was some of the
Busey's jokes are just fucking like
horrible,
crazy. Like the first ones that you hear, and he is just like a maniacal fucking misogynist in this movie, right?
Absolutely.
He comes up to Myrna, who's Harold's wife,
his boss, the owner of the company,
the owner's wife. That she's kind of the main like secretary or admin person, you know. And Busey comes up to her and says something.
The worst part of
what's
oral
the worst
sex?
part of oral sex?
The View.
The View.
And then he just
laughs, cracks up.
It's so not funny. It's so
I don't know
stupid.
I don't know what the joke is.
I guess because your eyes are, I don't know, because you're down in the junk. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know.
But isn't that part of the fun of oral sex?
I guess it's dumb. It makes no sense, dude. It's so stupid. But he does shit like that. Like at one point, he's laying on the ground in the stall, the bathroom, and he's like,
Right.
"What are you doing
Yeah.
down there?" And what do you say? I'm doing.
He's at intestinal yoga.
Yeah.
Or intestinal meditation or something like that.
Yeah. I was like, oh god.
That was one of the jokes that made the most sense, though.
Yeah, I guess. Sort of. Dude.
I gotta tell you, there's a few subplots in this movie too. The overarching plot is that they're trying to make this DC cab company work. They try to get like everybody, all these fucking reprobates that work there, to like actually do their work and be good employees to make the company successful. Which of course they do at one point. There's a couple of subplots though. Like one of them is like there's a Stradivarius like violin that gets lost in one of the cabs. It's worth $500,000.
Yeah,
and there's going to be a reward. This homeless guy that just like lives on the street in a broken down cab.
Yeah, his name was like
it.
Mr. Rhythm or something like that.
Yeah, Mr. Rhythm.
Yeah.
And he pulls it out of like the trash that's accumulated in one of the cabs and is going to throw it away, but he keeps it. And so then they find it, and there's supposed to be a reward, but Myrna steals the money, locks everybody out of her house, and then what's his name? What's Adam Baldwin's name?
I think his name is Harold. You're going to say Harold, right?
No, Harold is the owner.
Is he the owner?
It's Arnold.
Arnold.
Or Albert.
Jesus, can we get it straight?
Holy shit. Albert.
Arnold Baldwin is playing Albert.
Adam Baldwin is playing Albert.
Unreal, dude. What's wrong with us, man? What is wrong with us?
But so Adam or Albert. Jesus Christ.
Just call him the kid.
Takes the inheritance money, which is $6,000
that he has had. He had
stashed away in his boot.
Yes.
Right?
His dad's cowboy boots that are too big for him.
And they revamp this whole fucking company,
I mean,
dude.
you do the amount of shit apparently you can do in 1983
with
$6,000 in
you can pay off
Washington, D.C.
Pay off some of the county commissioners.
Yep.
So that you can get an airport license.
Yep.
You can completely fix all of your cabs and
repaint them,
everything.
Them, yep.
Get a new sign and repaint your building.
Entire building.
Right?
Yep.
And then get everything just totally cleaned up. It looked like they had new like equipment in the dispatch room and everything like that. Like,
he does this whole speech too because this reward money. Here's the other thing. When they find out that they get the reward money, the owner was like, basically, I'm going to split it with all of you guys.
Right.
But I would hope, he says, that you would take that money and invest it into my company, and then I will split the profits with you.
Yeah.
Because I know we're going to be successful at this.
Keep in mind, this is a subplot of this movie.
There's 8 people that he says, all 8 of us, right? There's 8 people apparently that are working as drivers.
Well, so this is the part that I don't completely understand. Is everybody getting $10,000?
So that's where I was going to go. So at some point, you find out that the reward is $10,000, but they don't say whether it's per person or that.
Well, but Harold says everybody's getting $10,000.
He does say that.
If you want $10,000, then come to my house.
Okay, that's what it is.
Remember when he
I was confused because.
But then they go to the house, right? And Myrna has taken all the money.
Yes.
And has like locked the house up. And then Gary Busey goes up to the door and he's like quietly knocking on the door and he's like, "Hey, Myrna, let's go," because he's secretly in love with Myrna.
Yeah.
Constantly trying to get in her pants.
Yeah.
In a very gross way.
Yeah.
And it's like, "Hey, Myrna, I know this hotel. Let's go down to this hotel and take that $10,000 and just have a great time." It's like, wait a minute.
Okay,
is there only $10,000?
Okay, but
or
look,
is there $80,000?
Yeah. They don't get specific.
They don't specify.
With that. Yeah. So I don't even know like what happens from that point on because so they get everything fixed up and then everything's going well.
Yeah. To the point where people are buying like fur coats.
Oh yeah,
and like
one of the drivers got a fur coat.
And Gary Busey like decks out his cab with a whole fucking sound system that then destroys all the windows.
I always love shit like this in these zany comedies where it's like, this is gonna be a really funny scene. He buys this stereo, it's so loud it breaks all the windows in his car.
Right.
One, not funny. 2, why would you do that? Like, why would you be like? And while it's breaking, he's sitting there going, yeah, he's loving it. Like this.
Right.
This is such loud rock music. This is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm breaking windows.
He's all proud that he has this, like, the car's all fixed up and nice and shit, and then he just trashes it.
Yeah. It's such a hackeyed joke, too.
Oh, my God.
It's so terrible.
Oh, my God. There is this scene early on in the movie, too, where, like, Bill Maher plays a much smaller part than I thought he would play in this.
Yeah, well, so does George Lopez.
It's not George Lopez. It's
not
Paul Rodriguez.
Jesus Christ.
Do they all look the same to you?
Oh, my God.
Do they all look the same to you? Did you like the racist jokes in this movie?
I'm just trying to think of very old Mexican comedians or Latino comedians. Like, the two growing up in the 80s.
Yeah.
Were these two.
Right.
Like, so, yes, very racist of me, but Jesus Christ.
But Bill Maher plays a very small part, and he's like some sort of like musician.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to kind of go into that a little bit more, but he's just in the fucking cat. This is Jesus Christ.
He has like a monologue. They give each one of them like somewhat of a scene.
Yeah.
Like, you have the Gigolo speech.
Oh, from Paul Rodriguez.
From Paul Rodriguez, you've got then Bill Maher giving him like a life sort of monologue about like, you don't become a cabbie, like follow your dream. I don't know what the fuck that was about. Every person got their own, like Mr. T had a subplot going where his niece was hanging out on the street corner where these like pimps were.
Yeah.
And it was like, one day, I'm going to have a nice car like that guy. And
he's going to get all the kids to pay attention to him
and
so he can tell them to stay in school and stay away from drugs.
Which is a
very Mr. T thing. Too,
absolutely,
right?
yeah. And he does get his car and he does
This
show
is
up
why it makes me think that
weird.
Each one of these fucking people got to write their own little little scene.
Yeah, you're probably right.
High on coke, like just fucking, okay, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, man.
Maybe not Mr. T. Maybe Mr. T was not on cocaine. I don't know.
I don't believe that Mr. T probably ever partied like that.
I don't think so either.
Yeah,
I think he was
fairly
too good of
straight-laced, yeah.
too good of a person.
I think so.
But definitely Bill Maher was fucking
Oh, he would admit to it today.
doing rails the
I'm
size of fucking Mount Everest.
He had to have been. They go
Because his whole fucking monologue makes no sense whatsoever.
None. Yeah.
No sense.
They go into at one point they go to a female gentleman's club where they're kind of it's like the like Playboy bunnies or whatever, like where their waitresses walking around topless, and then they go to a male strip club, and the reason they show up there is because they're like, once they let the ladies out of the club, they're hot and ready to party, and so they all like drive their cars over there, wait outside. The club closes down, and all these rabid women come out.
How do these guys even have any money? Because how are they making money?
Don't try. I mean, I don't know why we're even trying to make sense of any of this shit. Here's the thing. I'm so disappointed in this movie because again, it's one of those things where like
they get up. Wait. Let's hold on. I gotta finish this thought because that scene where they go to the male strip club and then all the women come out. These guys get up on the top of their cars,
fueled on cocaine,
completely flopping around.
Yeah,
like they are fucking dying flounder.
Yeah, you've got the two Barbarian brothers kind of taking their shirts off, but not really, and they're up there
writhing on the top of their cars.
Tyrone is like,
he's punching his own dick. He's punching himself in the dick. On the top of his car, and women are going crazy for it.
Tyrone, who wears a fake wig, afro wig with curlers in it.
So this was another like weird little,
totally weird,
fucking monologue that Tyrone had.
Yep.
In the midst of like getting in a fight and yelling once again.
Yep.
At his coworker.
Yeah.
About how he went to college, but then he was like, "I've had enough of this shit.
So, yeah.
Like, this is a scam."
And
so now he acts like he's homeless?
Yeah, I don't get it.
And dresses like he's homeless?
This is just a put on that I put on for all you honkies, basically, is what he says at some point, right? Like, and but then this is this scene where they have like a moment. He and Arnold,
Albert. He and Albert have this moment where he's like saying, this is just a show I put on for people like you. And, they go back and forth. I don't even understand what they're actually yelling about. And then they have... Well, half the time you can't even make it out because they're yelling over the top of each other.
But these two end up kind of having a moment. And Tyrone ends up like telling him like, here's what you need to do to become a DC cab, and he lists these weird things, and one of them
No. It wasn't a DC cabbie. It was some sort of
psycho. It was like the
psycho brother or something.
Yeah, that's right, psycho cab.
Because at the very beginning of this movie, it makes no fucking sense. Actually,
none of it makes goddamn sense. It's so dumb, but yes,
they have this like game that they play where one guy is trying to get away from all the other people. And the other people are all wearing plastic masks. And they're chasing Tyrone around the city in their cabs. And then they chase him, like they get out of their cabs and chase him into an alleyway.
Yeah.
And you think they're going to beat the shit out of him, but they don't.
They don't.
And he
uses one of his rollers falling out of his hair. He's like, wait a minute, guys, I just lost a roller. And so everyone starts helping him look for it. And then he goes, gotcha, and he runs off.
Yeah, so what's the point of that game?
I don't know.
Actually
this is the beginning of the movie.
This is the very beginning.
Cold open, no music, and it's this scene of them chasing this guy down.
The funniest thing in this movie was the very first shot of this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Because they show the stars, and it's just, you just get a shot of stars.
Yep.
Like space, right?
Yeah.
And then you get the slow rolling long shot of the undercarriage of a cab coming over it, like it's like the Star Wars movie, right? Where you're first seeing the underside of a Star Destroyer.
Yeah.
Or like Spaceballs did it,
Yeah, it's
like
just
it goes
like
on
that. It's
way
actually
too
a
long.
pretty well done shot.
Yes,
too.
it's a very well done shot. And it was kind of funny because it was like,
And you're seeing tinfoil and a bunch of shit under there.
Yeah, holding shit together.
Yeah.
And then you hear somebody on the CB radio going, "Is anybody out there? Is anybody out there?" And then they're playing this game.
Yeah.
But
which they play the theme to Mission Impossible while they're doing it too.
Yeah, it's so fucking odd.
Yeah.
And then so come to find out, like, Albert wants to be part of the group. He has to like, he wants to play that game.
Yeah. You got to get a mask. He tells me you got to buy a mask. He's like, that's easy enough.
Yeah.
It's just but then at the end of it,
but then like the end of it is like, and you have to put your cab on the train track and then drive really slow on it and see how far you can go. And they go about what, 15 feet?
Yeah, they go about 15 feet, and a train starts coming towards them down the track. Of course,
but it's it's like that's the thing. Like, you gotta drive on the train tracks.
Yeah, I think it's without, like, my understanding was drive on the train tracks without falling off of them, like balancing your car.
Okay, maybe
how
that's
far can you go
right
without coming off the track, I think is what was going on. Because that's why he, like, lined it up for him. He was like, okay, you're good. And then he hops in the cab and they start slow rolling. And that's when he explains to him, yeah, that's the longest of 7 miles. And like, we're going to break it tonight. Train starts coming.
Yeah.
And they get stuck. They're trying to back and forth, trying to get off the track. It's like, it's not high centered, but something's going on.
Yeah.
And so finally Tyrone's like, we got to bail. And he jumps out, and the other dude's sleeve is caught in the handle.
Yeah, that's right.
Tyrone comes back to help him. He's trying to get his sleeve off, and they're like, oh shit. And they just grab onto each other, and the train's coming right for him. And then the last second it turns because it's a different track.
That's right.
It's either a different track that it's on, or there's a track switch right at the beginning that they didn't know was going to happen. Or something.
Yeah.
And then so that's their moment, and after that,
and it's just more yelling.
And then it's more yelling, but now the rest of the movie, there's like a bond there between the two of them. At least they try to.
You think that's what it was? I think
they try to
because
imply
they get it? Don't they get into a fight again later?
They do.
After Myrna steals all the money. Everybody, like, goes back, and they're just like, okay, we're done. Like, there's no way to, like, salvage any of this. And Tyrone ends up leaving.
Yeah.
Right? And then, but that's when, like, Albert's like, well, I've got this $6,000 that can really bring this company back.
And Tyrone's like, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
But he does kind of have this, like, hey man, you saved my life. And he's always trying to keep him there.
What was the part? Because didn't they, like, they went out.
Oh, man.
They went out and, like, got this burglar guy that keeps on sticking up one of the lady drivers.
Yeah.
Like, literally every day, and just stealing her money, every day.
Yep.
And so that burglar ends up getting in Tyrone and Albert's car, and Albert just is like, fuck you. I'm taking you back to the station.
Yeah.
And, we're going to kick your ass.
Which they do.
Right. But didn't they wasn't that, like, kind of the seal of that bond?
Yeah, I think
that
that's
one,
part of it,
because
too.
Tyrone keeps on calling him a pussy, basically.
Yeah, he calls him white bread.
Right.
That's his nickname for him.
Yeah.
Like, this movie, you get N-words, you get the F word, you get all sorts of racial...
You get Tyrone, like, really doing really racist impression of, like, Asian person.
Of an Asian person. Yep. Yeah. I mean, this movie's like...
dude.
But then...
You get Gary Busey saying the N-word multiple times in his monologue.
Yes. He basically says...
Very early on
they're going to take over our country, so we better get in good with them.
Yeah.
That's his whole speech to this kid.
Yeah, because we can be the token white guys.
Yeah. I'm like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? But then I think the goal of the movie was, like, look, we've got this melting pot of
course it was.
Colors, creeds, whatever they all come together, work together as a team.
Yes.
That's
definitely the goal of the movie.
So at the end of the movie,
cocaine seems to derail a lot of plot lines that you may be coming up with. Like, it's like if you're having an idea snap into your head every 20 seconds.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, this thing just goes
Like,
all over the place.
It goes all over. This is only 100 minutes long.
It seemed like...
And it seemed like it was 2 hours.
2 hours and 15 minutes is what I was thinking. Yeah, somewhere around there. It was a long sit. It was long.
And it was so... And for the most part, it was very boring.
I thought so.
It was a very boring watch.
The comedy wasn't good.
No. They're constantly yelling at each other.
Constantly yelling. Even if they would have like maybe a car chase or something, some crazy antics that they were up to, but they were never shot that well and they're never very interesting.
Yeah. Now, what other movies did Joel Schumacher? What was it? What's Joel Schumacher?
The Lost Boys.
Oh, okay. That was a fucking great movie.
He's the one that's basically what almost killed his career was taking over Batman after Tim Burton.
Oh.
He's the one that did Batman and Robin and Batman Forever. Yeah.
He's the one that added the nipples to the Batman suit.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy.
But then after that, he kind of tanked that franchise.
Yes.
He went and did a small, like, independent Vietnam movie called Tigerland that has Colin Farrell in it. Like, one of his first earlier roles. That's a really good movie.
And that was a really good movie. Yeah.
So, like, Joel Schumacher is like...
He's competent.
I think The Lost Boys is fucking fantastic.
Oh, dude, that movie's great.
It's great.
Yeah.
So he's got other movies, and I'm just not like a Joel Schumacher aficionado or anything like that. But
was Schumacher? Did he do 100 cigarettes and coffee or something like that? Or
I don't
100
know.
cigarettes or something like that.
But yeah, so
this must have been one of his first
movies.
Don't you think?
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah,
because
So the grand finale is Albert gets kidnapped along with
Tyrone usually picks up these two maids.
That is right.
Right?
Yes.
So in the scene
which I think are family
Albert,
members of his.
No.
They weren't? I thought.
No, I don't think so. I think they were just
was he
just fares that he like, you know, would pick up.
But he says
every
like
day.
Consider this my family, because remember they were all squeezed in there and they were in the back and he was sitting in between.
No. That was a different family that they picked up.
Oh, all right. I thought that the maids were in the back and he was like, this is basically my family here.
Yeah, because he picks them up every single day and takes them to the thing.
Remember,
he's hitting on the younger woman.
Okay, sure. I mean, I may not have been paying attention to this.
I wouldn't sleep with you if blah, 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 blah. Oh, Joel Schumacher also did Falling Down.
Oh, that's right. Falling Down. Yeah. Yeah.
Time to Kill, too.
This is like not a congressman, but he's like some sort of
as an ambassador.
He was an ambassador, and so it's his kids that are always outside throwing eggs at the cab
Tyrone's cab
when he pulls up to drop off the maids.
Right.
This time there's some kidnappers there. They kidnap the kids.
Tyrone's gone.
Yeah, he's
right?
gone.
So now it's like Albert is like
Yeah.
picking up the maids.
I'm glad we got that cleared up. But yes, you're right.
Yeah. Albert is picking up the maids and dropping them off at the mansion, at the
And there's kidnappers
mansion.
waiting, and they end up kidnapping the kids and Albert, and they take them to a location. They don't know where. The cops think that Albert kidnapped them because the kidnappers forced him to make a phone call asking for the ransom money.
Right.
And then the DC cab guys are like, oh, man, we got to find Albert. And they get a few clues because Albert escapes, radios out to the, what was that guy's name? Rhythm Man or whatever. What was his name? Or the
Mr. Rhythm.
Mr. Rhythm.
Yeah.
Because now the DC cab company has been shut down because the police think that their employee might have something to do with it. And so they have very little clues, and they all know that he's at a farmhouse out by the airport and says something about Bruce Lee. And so they use their deductive reasoning
because they all know the lay of the land so well.
So they take all the cars and head out that way.
Right.
And, you know, they end up finding the place and getting Albert out of there. It's not interesting at all. And then after that happens, there's like a chase because Albert's still kidnapped in this van, and it ends with what the guys crash through the fucking drive-in movie, because the Bruce Lee shit is like
a drive-in
movie that's showing a
playing.
Bruce Lee movie.
Yeah.
It's not a Bruce Lee movie, by the way. It's a Bruce.
So why wouldn't he just
Bruce exploitation flick?
Why wouldn't fucking Albert just say I see a Bruce Lee movie
dumb.
on?
Because he
just said
Bruce
Lee
and Bruce Lee.
Like, dude, you had enough time to say there's a fucking drive-in movie theater.
It's
close
dumb.
to here. Yeah,
It's really dumb. And it was just to make it a quote unquote mystery.
yeah.
And then they get him. The bad guys like crash through the movie screen of the drive-in, which is actually kind of cool, and the whole screen falls down with the van embedded in the screen.
Yeah,
and it looked like it was somewhat like pretty much a practical effect that they did somewhere.
Yeah.
Then the movie's cut to
credits. And credits scene rolling behind the credits is just a full-on Washington, D.C. parade for DC Cab. And it shows them kind of rolling down the street. Everybody's going crazy. They're dancing on the top of their cars again, right? And then they pull up to like the front of the Capitol building, and they're given like a key to the city and a plaque.
Yep.
And like, so... and then we didn't talk about the love interest. She was
tacked that on like it was just so dumb, dude.
She worked in this diner that they always go to. It seems like all the cabbies go to, right?
Including Emerald Cab,
right? Emerald Cab, and then some other like cab company that wears red.
All the cab companies get satin jackets if they're big deals,
right? Yeah. So
DC gets yellow satin jackets,
but they're always fighting in there, like literally, like throwing furniture and shit.
Yeah.
I mean, where's the realism here, man? Like, these people would be kicked out of that fucking place for like forever. They'd be X'd.
Well, the cranky owner / waitress is, I guess, puts up with them,
right?
And notices that Albert's taking a shining to her granddaughter, who's working.
Yeah. So this kind of threw me too, because
weird.
I mean, Albert looks like, or seems to be, in his 20s.
Yeah, like mid to late 20s, I would say.
Yeah,
pushing 30. Possibly.
They never talk about his actual age. I don't think.
Nope.
But then he is at one point making out with
the granddaughter.
The granddaughter.
And this is how
it's all very rushed too,
Yes.
because like they're just like making eyes at each other for the first 2 times.
Oh yeah,
that
he
we
looks
see
at her, and I don't think she even notices him the first time.
I don't think she gets a name, or he gets a name, or anything like that. But then all of a sudden, she like
motions him over when they're all fighting at one point, and he goes like to sneak off into the kitchen to talk to her, and that's when Grandma steps in the way and goes, "She is not dating a cabbie."
Yeah,
the guy that comes in here with flowers, in a suit.
The part that I was going to talk about was like she like dresses up nice, stands on a street corner, and he picks her up in his cab as his first fare.
Yes, after this whole thing where like they haven't talked to each other.
Yeah.
He has looked at her, she has not noticed him. Then all of a sudden she notices him and says, "Sneak into the kitchen with me." And then he gets cock blocked by Grandma, and then cut to what you're talking about. And now there's this like, she's to like, "Hi, Albert. It's me."
She goes, "Hi, Albert."
And he
goes, "Hi, Claudette."
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, you guys haven't even talked to each other yet.
And then they just start making out in the back.
Oh yeah, just hardcore. And then she says, she's got a little bit of dialogue here,
information
where she states that her grandma is her legal guardian, which makes me think she is not of age, right?
And then she mentions something about March or something. She mentions a date, so I don't know if they're implying, like, I'm going to be 18 by this. I was like, what is fucking
That's what
happening?
I think it was. And I mean, if that guy, if I'm correct, he's like 25 in this movie.
Yeah.
That's fucking gross.
That's really gross.
And he doesn't even stop making out with her.
No. And Claudette, by the way, we was in another movie.
This is where I was going with this. She was in another movie that we've watched on this show.
Yeah.
What was it called again? Wet Ones?
No, it was Something Moves. Something Moves.
Summer Moves?
Summer Moves. Something Moves. I don't know, but it got a bikini on the cover. It's the guys that need to. Spoiler alert. a bunch of guys are trying to lose their virginity by the end of their
That's
senior
right.
year, and
Yeah.
she's one of the ladies in it. I just looked it up a little bit. I don't have it up on here. It was something moves, summer moves, or whatever you were saying.
I want to say wet moves.
I mean, here's what she's really cute. She reminds me of a Whitney Cooper or whatever.
Winnie Cooper.
Yes, Jesus Christ. Can I get any goddamn names right tonight? Fuck. Winnie Cooper, and she has like a kind of a unique look to her, and I was just like, she was in one of these other movies that we watched. She was always in a bikini in that movie, and it was
Hot Moves.
Hot Moves, and we were
1984. So that would have been after this one.
and we were still creeped out with kind of the skeezers, the guys who were skeezing on her in that
Well,
movie, too.
I mean, it's
She's very
pretty
innocent looking.
Yes, and I think it's just a product of the 80s and early 80s, like in these movies, man.
Yeah.
It was just like, boobs are an object that we all would really appreciate seeing in a comedy, and
There's like two jokes in here.
The
where
more
it's-
you can put in there, the better.
It's hard to be a man or something. What was the?
Yeah, that was like Paul Rodriguez would
Yeah.
said that once, and then it was somebody else said it too.
Yeah.
It's like it's really hard to be a man
Like,
these
wow.
days. It's like
Wow.
no, it really isn't.
And then Gary Busey says something
Like you guys are just fucking walking around like grabbing girls' asses and sticking your face in their cleavage.
Oh yeah. And Gary Busey at one point says, "Women have half the money and all the pussy."
And all the pussy.
What the fuck? So dumb. So so then
it's true.
and they on the steps of wherever they're at the end of the parade during, like, he makes out with Claudette again. He kisses her right there on the steps.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Right. That's right.
And that is the movie. That is DC Cab.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. Very disappointed because, again, this is a movie that I saw this cover. My older brother watched it. It looked zany as fuck. Like, my God, what's it going to be like to be an adult?
If I saw this as a kid, like let's say 6, 7 years old, maybe, which was a very real possibility.
Yeah.
That I would have seen something like this. But if I saw this as a child, I would have been like, this is the best fucking movie I've ever seen. I would not have known what the fuck is going on.
And you're like, this is so
But
crazy.
it wouldn't have mattered.
They're all having a good time.
It's so zany.
I want a
and
job like
slapsticky.
that. It's so,
And it's like, I could see that. This is what being a cabbie is like.
Yeah.
Like, you run the fucking city and you are just having the time of your life.
Yeah.
Being a party animal.
Now, as 46-year-old myself watching this, I could barely stay awake.
No.
It's not interesting.
Fucking terrible.
It's terrible, man. It was so terrible. And it bums me out because it was one of those things where it's like, okay, this was a movie I really wanted to see when I was a kid. My brother rented it. I don't think I ever got to watch all of it. I maybe had seen parts of it on like Channel 11 or something.
And the reality of like the company that they work at.
Oh, shit. Sorry.
All the shit that they see and like are having to deal with. Like the reality of being in your mid to late 40s and watching that unfold, it's just sad.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just sad. What a fucking sad existence these people lead.
True.
Terrible. Terrible. The one saving grace of this movie was the theme song.
Oh, God, yeah. Yes, how could we not? Yeah.
So
the song DC Cab.
DC Cab, which by Peebo Bryson.
Yes, by Peebo Bryson.
Sounds a lot like another song.
Oh, yes, it does.
Like made us go down a massive rabbit hole. We're speaking of the theme song for Monster Squad.
Yeah.
By
Rock Until You Drop.
One Mr. Michael Sambello.
Yeah, and this sounds like the music and
spitting image of that song.
Yes,
Rock Until You Drop.
Very much so. Yeah,
yeah. I
very
think
much so.
Anyway,
yeah.
It sounded very.
So
similar.
then this begs the question. Then, so Sambello ripped off of Peebo Bryson because this is '83 and Monster Squad was like '88. I want to say.
Yeah, this totally came before.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Yeah, totally.
And then, of course, Peebo, if you don't, like Peebo Bryson was like, if ever you're in my arms again, blah, 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 blah. We're probably going to get a copyright strike. I sang that so close to him, we're probably going to get a copyright strike, right?
Yeah. Oh, probably.
Probably.
Yeah.
And the soundtrack was done by Giorgio Moroder.
The soundtrack in general is awful.
It's awful. Do you know who Giorgio Moroder is?
No, I have no idea. You kept on saying that name as like those stupid synth parts kept playing.
He's like the master of the synth. He was.
I wouldn't say that was not very masterful.
But this was very much like
was Moroder on coke when he was doing this too?
Probably. Yeah. Moroder's known for doing like love to love you, baby. Like a Donna Summer or something like that. I forget what it is. He did a lot of disco-y shit, but he was the first to really like use the synthesizer and make it a big deal. He's German. I believe he's German.
Okay.
The last Daft Punk album, they have a song called Giorgio Moroder on it.
Really?
And they try to make it sound like a Moroder song, and over the top of it is an interview with Moroder talking about how he got into the synthesizer. So like he's legendary. He's the movie Metropolis. Do you know the German silent movie Metropolis?
Yeah, totally.
Moroder's kind of in the early 80s was the guy who basically was like, we need to save this movie because it's gonna rot if we don't clean it up. And he was one of the first to like start to do major film restoration on almost lost films. So he took that movie, cleaned it up. It was kind of unprecedented.
And then put music on it.
And then put a contemporary soundtrack
because it was a silent film.
Silent film. He put a contemporary soundtrack over the top of it. I think this was like 1984. So he had like Adam Ant, Queen, Moroder, like all of them did like parts for like. So he's legendary. Giorgio Moroder's legendary.
That's so weird that he was involved with this then.
Yeah.
I mean, he must have just been phoning it in.
Oh, yeah. I think there was a time in his career where it was like, I can make money doing soundtracks.
Sure.
And he would dumb them down as much as he could, right? Like, so it wasn't like, his shit was very much like not prog rock, but like some of it's like just droning. They also kind of say he's like the godfather of like electro EDM music, kind of a little bit.
Huh.
But yeah, because his music would be very like droning on and like repetitive and that sort of shit.
Yeah.
And it was all like synth. To like a click track.
Well, I wonder if he wrote that end song. It was very poppy though. Like, which
was sang by the pop star in the movie that Tyrone's obsessed with or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Like or what was her name? Eileen Karen or something. Eileen Carey or something like that.
Carol.
Diane
Carroll.
Irene Carroll.
Oh my god, dude. The fuck.
You're a fucking
Irene.
idiot.
Oh, you were fairly correct.
Yeah.
It was Irene Cara.
Okay.
Or Cara. But yeah.
I think she sang the end song.
That song was awful.
Yeah, it was awful.
That song was really bad.
Not good.
Whew, okay. Well, Jesus Christ. We had the choice of a fair amount of movies tonight too, and I was just like, because my original thought was like, let's watch kind of a summer movie, and like one that popped into my head was Whitewater Summer with
I've never seen
Kevin
it.
Bacon and Sean Astin, and it was like a very big part of my childhood, that movie.
Yeah,
like I fucking love it.
And I've not seen it, so I was like, yeah, okay, sure, let's do that.
It's not on Blu-ray.
No,
but we were gonna rent it in HD, and then thinking. We were watching a scene from it and stuff, and like thinking on it, I was just like, this movie's too good. Like, it's
and honestly, like I went back and I looked at like even this movie here we ended up doing.
Yeah.
We've really gotten off the really crappy, low budget, no business being on Blu-ray movies that no one has heard of.
Right.
And so I was like, maybe we should go back to that, but we ended up watching DC Cab. So
I was like, let's watch this one. We haven't done like a funny like comedy one for a little bit.
Yeah, but this was also a well-known movie. Like there was a big push when it came out.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why like.
Well, it must have had a hell of a budget too, just to do that parade scene at the end. But anyway, I mean, this was a poor choice.
Yeah, I mean, that's what this show's about. Most of these movies should be poor choices.
Yeah, but they should also be fucking watchable.
Or just so
or
bad,
follow,
so
or,
bad they're fun.
Yeah.
And this was not.
No, not at all, man.
No.
Not at all. How many Blu Its are you giving this?
Oh man, I'll give it like, I don't know. I was in my mind, I want to say like 1.5, but I think I'll go with like 2. It's competently made. I mean, it's got a large cast.
It looks pretty good.
Yeah,
it looks pretty clear.
It really stuck in my mind as a kid. I'm sure doing this episode that there'll be people out there going like, "Fucking DC Cab! I love DC Cab." It's just one of these weird.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I was. That's kind of the crux of my argument, or not argument, but what I said earlier about if I would have seen this as a child, I probably would have a different opinion about it now.
Yeah.
Like I'd still be crestfallen by seeing it as an adult.
You're like, wow, this is not good.
Oh boy, some of these jokes did not age well. But like, you know, for the most part, oof.
Yeah. I'll say
brutal.
I'll give it 2.
I'm giving it 1.5. That's.
I'm just trying to think what else have we given 1 or
on it.
1.5 to. I don't like
There's probably been some.
Yeah, and I can't think that this is worse than those, but I don't know, man. I'll give it 2. I'll give it 2. Fucking DC Cab. There you go.
Oh my goodness sakes. Okay. Well, all right. A little bit of dialogue.
Oh, sure. I guess. Yeah. Well, I already did enough of it, didn't I? Like women, they get half the money and all the pussy. Like, right? Cut print. No, no. It's terrible. We can't leave on that.
Yikes, man. Yikes.
And that's another terrible thing about this movie is none of the dialogue is memorable. The only ones I can remember are just the awful racist or misogynistic dialogue. That's it, basically.
Jokes from Gary Busey.
Jokes from Gary Busey. So
I remember one. I do remember one line from
right.
Mr. Rhythm. This is what we'll go out.
Oh
with.
yeah, because he's got a ton of quotes in this fucking movie.
Don't let your dick run your life.
Cut, Brent.
Don't let your dick run your life.